I'm Lisa Miles, the coordinator of First Gen student programs on campus, and this video will share with you a lot of advice that our upperclassmen First Gens had for our incoming students. They spoke freely and thoughtfully and wisely, and our new students got to answer some questions, got to ask some questions as well. So, without further ado, here are our panelists answering the question, what do you wish you'd known when you first got to Richmond? Thank you.
There were so many days where like I would only have like 2 hours of class and then the rest of the day was free. So I didn't really I back in the day I assumed, oh, that meant I was free as well. So I mean I had so much free time and I could goof off, but I didn't realize that meant I had to assume more greater responsibility on my academic and personal affairs and invest that free time into those activities.
Thanks, Cameron. Who else wants to share something that you remember was a surprise when you first got to Richmond?
I guess for me, I definitely agree with what Cameron had to say. My first semester, I had too much free time on my hand, and it got to the point where I was just like really bored. So this year, I picked it up. Just do a few more things. But other than that, I'd say for me, it was the support a lot of the support that I got from the professors that I've had so far, and also like career services. They're always like really down to help you out. Obviously, that's your job, and a lot of stuff that I like never knew how to do, and my dad never knew how to do, like a resume or what type of clothes should I wear to an interview, like stuff like that. Uh, Definitely like career services and like a lot of people and resources at U of R really helped me with that.
Thanks, Cody.
I'd say that something that surprised me was how much, like how friendly professors are. Like, in high school, teachers tell you, oh, your professors are gonna put up with things like that. But in most cases, that hasn't been true. I think, it's really an advantage to get to know your professors, and they're always friendly and they're always willing to talk.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Off of that, just like office hours, you don't have to go in if you're struggling. It's more like you just stop in to like get to know your professor, like the research they're doing, the experiences they've had. It's like just so interesting, and you get to see how much they really care for all their students, whether like you had them just for one class and then you stay in touch, or like you have them for multiple classes. They're just great resources that I like found to have as like the semester like went on, where like, oh, I can pop in to just say hi and talk about my week and not have to like talk about the course at all. So that's definitely something that was like surprising and different than like high school, because you usually just go to like a professor's like office hours or during their free time or free period when like you needed help. So
That's good. Anybody else want to share? Anything that surprised? We got everybody. So how about we open it up to questions? What kinds of things would you like to know from these folks who have figured these things out here? At least a lot of things. Maybe still figuring a few things out. Cameron smiled.
Yeah, I'm most definitely still figuring out those things, but we're making it. We're making it.
Totally. So yeah.
I just wanted to know, like, what exactly constitutes like a first generation student? So, because like I was talking to my mom, and because I kept getting these emails, and both my parents have like associate's degrees in some type of schooling, but I was wondering if like first gen counts as like you were the first one in your family to get a 4-year degree. Is that what that means?
It is.
Okay.
Thanks for asking, Elena. The national definition is the one that Richmond uses, and it means the first in the family to get a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So, but in no way does that diminish the fact that both your parents have associate's degrees, and that's awesome. But oftentimes those kind of schools may not be residential. They may not be quite, have the same kind of majors and programs here. So we extend it to figure, maybe there's some additional things you'd want to ask questions of. Thanks for asking, though. That's great. Who else?
So I just want to ask, what are some of the regrets or like something that you would do it again in your freshman year?
Oh, what a great question. What are your regrets? What would you do differently?
Can you hear me, Lisa?
Yes, Lena. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We figured this out finally. I feel like for the most part, I was very busy when I was there. I was busy with internships and school activities. I think one thing that I would have done different is go more into the city. I did go downtown more, but I think it was more for an internship rather than having more fun. So I think I would definitely would want to spend more weekends and more time going by the river, checking downtown museums and arts and probably like good cafeterias too. It is a harder to get there, but that is something that I would encourage you guys to do if you have the time.
It's good advice. And it's going to get a little bit easier eventually. We'll get some shuttles back going off campus when we open things up in terms of COVID. You have a lot of time ahead of you. But I don't know if any of you, the other panelists, would agree that the downtown experience is one that you shouldn't miss.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I would agree. Yeah. Coming from the guy who has lived in Richmond like area for 19 years, I still haven't like really explored all of it, and definitely like I feel like personally with me, like we have like so many good things like in Richmond, like so many good like rivers or like hiking trails or just like places to visit in the city. If you're really into art, this is a good place to be in too. And personally me, sometimes I wish I have explored it more as well.
I
Awesome.
feel the exact same way. Like, I feel like my freshman year, I think I went off campus like once or twice just to go to Target, and I regret that because I actually had a course my sophomore year that was heavily integrated aspects of the city into the course, and I feel like my Richmond education has been enhanced greatly by having those experiences in the city and learning about like the various cultures and stuff from downtown and like looking at the art museums, exploring the wilderness of the city, well, the hiking trails of the city and stuff. It's a lot to explore. Plus, Mama J's is a downtown restaurant. That's soul food, I swear.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Richmond's a
also
foodie
agree
city.
with that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I also agree with that. I know I've also lived in Virginia for quite a while, and I never really visited Richmond until I came to the University of Richmond. And just going out into the city also helps get rid of the Richmond bubble. But obviously we can't do that now. But just for future reference, do that. Just get to know the city. You definitely don't want to fit the stereotype of you are students who aren't really connected to the city and are apathetic and everything else.
Yeah, for me, I wish I would have gotten to know the deans better my freshman year, just because they are there to like support you and they're not just there to like a lot of people associate deans with like school codes and like violations and stuff like that, but like our deans are more here to like just support you. Like you could go talk to them if you're having like a rough week, like you could just pop in and say, "Hi, I need a vent," and they'll like listen to you. So like I definitely wish I would have gotten to know them sooner. But like I'm glad that I've taken the time to actually like go to the deanery and talk to them, or also talk to like the Richmond College deans, because they're like all really there for you.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I regret not utilizing all the resources available to me on campus. So I know Cody brought up career services. That's such a great resource, but also like resources like the Academic Skills Center and CAPS. CAPS is such a wonderful service on campus that I recommend for all students. And it's the school provides a lot of resources that um, enhance the experience of the college experience.
Any other regrets? I just want to quickly introduce that Brianna Silva has joined us tonight. Brianna is the student programming coordinator for the Spreader First program. So she works with me out of Common Ground and was busy there helping today. So Brianna is a junior and also responsible for the Masks for Richmond program, which you might be following on Instagram. If you're not, you should, because she has a really wonderful small business that she started that also donates masks to folks who need them, as well as you can purchase them from her. So welcome, Brianna.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just gonna say thank you. But hi, everybody. I think I recognize a lot of you guys. Hi, Lena.
What other questions do you have?
I have a question for you, Lena. I guess in terms of like getting ready for grad school, like I'm starting to get ready. What is your what are some tips you have, or like what did you kind of do to start getting ready for grad school?
You're a senior right now?
I'm a junior.
Or you're a junior, okay. Well, you're definitely ahead of where I was at. For the longest time, I wanted to go straight to law school after Richmond, but I think I planned a little bit maybe too late to take the test, and I didn't have enough time to retake them. So if you, first of all, I would not encourage you to go to grad school right after a grad school if you have other options. But I feel like given the COVID and the circumstances and the lack of jobs right now, it actually may be a good option. So maybe given the time now, it is a good thing to go to school now. But definitely do draw like a timeline of when you want to take the test, what programs you're looking into. So you give yourself time to prepare, because that summer after your junior year, a lot of people intern at places that may possibly give them jobs. But for some of you, if you want to go to grad school, it may be a good summer to take those tests so you can apply to grad school. I, for the most part, I was planning to take a gap year after college, but I ended up getting into a master's program. And when COVID hit and it was hard to find jobs, I accepted the offer and I'm going to grad school now. So I think for a lot of the seniors that just graduated, things changed. But I guess the biggest advice I would have for you is really search what programs you want to go to, look into what you want to do, and then put a timeline of when is the test, and you know yourself better, how you're going to do on this test and how much time you will need to study. If you're looking into LSAT, I would dedicate at least 5 months of preparation. GRE, some people can do it within a month, some people need at least 3 months of studying. So those are some things that I would look into, and yeah, and also see if you can get into programs that give scholarships, give aid, because grad school is expensive. And do talk to your professors because they have really good advice. Some professors will tell you, it's better to get into a PhD program if that is something that you want to do, because PhD programs do pay for your grad school. So definitely you talk to some professors. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Good advice, thank you. What else?
So Lena, you just said to ask your professors for advice. What specifically types of advice would you ask them?
So I don't know what you're interested in studying, some of the advice that I asked first of all was what is their view of going right into law school after graduation? A lot of professors are against law school. So they want you to nail down why are you going to law school? Law school is expensive and it's hard. And depending on what kind of law you want to study, it's very competitive. So a lot of them will try to talk you out of it, but I think trying to reflect those ideas and the reasons why you want to go to law school is going to be beneficial too. It's is this something that I want to do? Put that time, put that energy, put that much money into it. The other part is that a lot of our professors, at least some of my professors, they were younger, so they went through the similar process, similar programs, so they know good schools to look into if your goal is to go get a master's or PhD. And they will tell you that there are some PhD programs that you can just go apply. They will pay for your master's, but if you end up dropping out, that is fine. So they will actually like give you the names of the schools and guide you through that. The other part is some professors have they get like these requests from schools to recommend students to apply. So with that recommendation, they send fee waivers. So if that professor thinks you're a good candidate for their program, they may recommend you and you will get a fee waiver. And also it puts in your name forward to that program of like, look at this student that I'm sending your way. But overall, I think the biggest what is it like outcome I got, or understanding that I got from talking to them was, you know, of like why I'm interested in the things that I'm interested, and is furthering my education in that area necessary? Is it doable with just college degree, or do I need to go into law school if I want to practice international human rights law, or I want to work with the UN? Hope that's helpful.
Really helpful. Welcome to the folks who just got here. I want to say a quick hello to Sia Pierre-Canizan, who has joined us. Sia is a panelist tonight. Sia, do you want to just tell us a quick hello and what you study, where you're from, what year you are, things like that?
Yeah, so I'm a senior. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm majoring in healthcare studies and psych, and I'm minoring in bio.
Is your camera on? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So we're fielding questions from folks, which you can put in the chat. You can ask directly. I've got one for you if no one else does. Like if you were, I heard the good advice, like go get to know your faculty. But if you are not having a problem in your class necessarily, and you're going to have to Zoom at office hours, like how do you start that conversation? Like, what do you say to somebody? Because I know a lot of people are like, yeah, what am I supposed to say? So how do you start to get to know your faculty, like outside of class?
Sure, you can go ahead, Alejandra. I saw we both like unmute at the same time.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
So personally, I like to also I'll do a little research on my professor to see what they're doing research on, or what their career is on, because our faculty is well known, so you'll find something about them. And then I will use that as a starting point. And usually I find something that I find interesting, or just oh, you started this program at this school, just little things like that. And then you're able to ease into just everyday conversations. And that just helps you get a good connection, and they see that you're interested in something they do, which also gets them really excited, and they can go on and on talking about it. So that's always also really helpful.
Great.
Yeah, bandwagoning off of that, it's most definitely good to look up what they've done in the past and what research they've done to start up that conversation. Sorry, something popped on my computer. But I know at least for the Gottwald sciences, it's good to speak to your professors like that, because they may be able to connect you with research opportunities. I was actually connected with a research opportunity my freshman year, because through my freshman chemistry professor, and it was based off the research he was already doing. So just asking them hey, what research are you doing, might give them indication that you're interested and willing to work with them.
Another thing too is if you're comfortable, you could just go into Zoom and say, hi, I just really wanted to talk. That's something I've done. I've walked into professors office hours, or even just if they're in their office, and I'm just hi, I'm in this section. They usually know who you are just because we do have small class sizes. And then I just kind of start a conversation. but I'm also a very outgoing person, so I don't mind doing that or starting the conversation. But if you're not, like, don't be afraid to is like something I would say, just because you never know what can come of it. Like Cameron just said, like him going to his chemistry professor got him like to get into research that he was like interested in, able to get all these opportunities starting freshman year, while at other schools that might not happen until like your junior year, senior year, if you don't take that initiative. Like it is what you make of it, like what you put in is what you put out or get out of it, is really like something I see here at Richmond. So
I don't know if anyone here is like pre-health or anything, but something I've been thinking about is how you like start trying to find those opportunities for either shadowing or for internships like in the healthcare field, because it's a little bit easier to find professors who are doing research, but to get that like background in internships or shadowing is really important to build the resume. But like it's kind of ambiguous about how to get your foot in the door with that. So I don't know if any upperclassmen had any experience with that.
Yeah, I think Dr. Vaughn is a very good resource. If you just email him and tell him that you're interested in any type of pre-health, you get put on this emailing list, and literally every opportunity that he can think of, he will email to you. So as long as you let him know that you're interested, like he will get you everything that you need. And you can always go to him, or like, I guess, join a Zoom meeting and have a Zoom meeting with him as well. And then he can also give you any other advice that you would ever, like you might need, like, for example, like going, like applying to medical school and things like that, like courses that you need to take. He's a very good resource just in general. So I would definitely talk to him.
I'm not pre-health, but I like advice that I have, which is like pretty much for anything that you're trying to do, is probably like pretty applicable. It's just really like a good like foot in would just like email people that you think you're interested in, like the line of work they're doing is something aligned to what you're trying to do. Just email them, ask if you can, ask them a few questions, get to know them, be like, oh, I'm interested in doing the same stuff you're doing. And then usually finding connections like that is a really easy way to land yourself an internship, job, shadowing. And that's just like overall blanket advice.
Yeah, going off of that, it's really important to have a good professional LinkedIn, not only to connect with people who are in the industry, but to connect with maybe upperclassmen who have had experiences that you might be interested in, and it'd be easier to reach out to them, in my opinion, since they're also students. So you could just say, hey, how did you get this internship?
I want to echo something that Ali said, in regards of like just reaching out to professors, just sometimes just saying, I want to just talk, check in. I think the biggest thing, I think more so as I became like senior, and graduated, I realized is that remembering, or I guess actually humanizing your professors, that they're also just like us. They have families, they used to be students, they may be these big scholars and very knowledgeable, but at the end they are very much like us. So I think like it's very important to genuinely seek those relationships. I think sometimes students get caught up, in regards of getting the students to know, because of academically I want to do well, can you write me a recommendation? But if you seek it more with like a genuine intention of building relationship, that connection is going to stay longer. They will be able to have more, like, better conversations, write good recommendations, but more of like a lifelong friends. And that's not possible with all people or professors, but I think with the intention of genuinely seeking those friendships and building this relationship with your professors, is going to be beneficial, because you will also get out of college. Some of you may become the scholars and scientists, and they will be good networks to have for the rest of your life.
I would also recommend reaching out to the CCE, Center for Civic Engagement. So I'm a Bonner Scholar, and I don't do like anything pre-health, but we do have like pre-health people who go and volunteer at like clinics and stuff like that. And those opportunities are also open to any like other students. So recommend going to their drop-in hours, I don't know how that's going to be with COVID, but I'm sure there's still like clinics around that need some type of virtual assistance and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Wisdom here is really deep. I hope you're all taking some notes. I would also say in the career services office has also done some shadowing work with alumni. So they'll set you up for like a day over winter break. I think that's been a big push, you know, because it's often too short to get a real internship or do anything else. So check in. They have advisors around different areas of academic focus, right? So there's one just for the business area, and there's one who handles like pre-health and sciences and whatnot. So you just need to go on the website and request an appointment. They're doing all their appointments virtually. It'll be really easy to get an appointment. It's really easy in the beginning of the year, and say, I think I want to shadow, and you know, I want to do whatever I can on the way to prepare for a healthcare career. And they will have helped a lot of people before you. So good. Anybody have questions about like social life? How many clubs to join? Like, how do you, like, COVID is a different world, so I know even our upperclassmen are navigating that differently, but like, how involved do you get? Like, or what are some good organizations to join if you really want to meet some good people?
Wait, are you asking the panelists?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess, you know, anybody who's attending can nod and go, yeah, I want to know that, or like, no, I don't want to know that. Well, okay, I'm seeing a few like, yeah, that would be useful. So how involved do you get, and how do you find good places to do it? And I know some of you in this room are like presidents of organizations that do really important things on campus. So feel free to, you know, talk about some of those. But Cameron, you're really involved. Why don't you start talking about like how you choose?
Yeah, I was too involved my freshman year, I would say, looking back on it. But yeah, I guess ways to get involved. I would go, I believe it's either the President's either the President's website or the University of Richmond Student Involvement website, and just browse at all the clubs available. A lot of them have descriptions with them that do a pretty good job of telling you like what they're about, what they do, and et cetera, and stuff like that. So that's a good way to like learn about them, since Spider Fest is virtual now and it's kind of hard to attend those meetings. And then if you're interested in a club, feel free to reach out and email them. I'm sure due to COVID, it's harder for them to recruit. So like you just emailing them saying, hey, I would like to know more, like says a lot. So it's most definitely going to get you on their radar. Speaking of clubs, I'm really willing to plug a lot of the clubs I'm a part of. And I'm waiting for Miss Miles to give me the green light. Okay, she gave me the green light. All right. So I'm the vice president of a group on campus called the Seeds Project. Shout out to Taylor, she's also in it. And so basically, we're an alternative spring break group where instead of going home for spring break, we travel to various parts of the country and do service in areas like Detroit, West Virginia, and Louisiana. That's a lot of fun. Would recommend. And then I'm also the treasurer of Camp Kesem. So Camp Kesem's was it pretty much a summer camp where it's a club that provides summer camp for children who have a parent or guardian afflicted with any type of cancer, and it's really fun. Would recommend. We actually due to COVID, we were forced to like cancel our in-person camp, but we actually were able to provide a virtual camp experience, and it was really fun, and the kids enjoyed it and loved it. So I would recommend both those organizations. I have a lot more I could recommend, but I don't want to take up all the time.
Hey, panelists, do you have to do something that you're like, do you have to join something that you're already pretty good at? Can you like branch out to new things in college, or like will you feel like you don't know anything?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes, Cody. So like, should you only join a club if you've already done that kind of thing in high school and you kind of know what you're doing so you don't feel dumb, or is this a time that you can branch out and try something brand new?
I guess for me, I think it's a good time for both because it allows you like doing stuff that you were already like passionate about and interested in. I guess for me, that would be like going to Asian American Student Union. That was something that I already knew I was like pretty passionate about, but like also branching out. Like I remember last year I went to a lot of like Souls meetings, which were that's like the Latinx like association, and then I've been to a few BSA meetings as well. And outside of that, like this year, I'm trying to become a part of Spider Ventures, which is like sort of like a businessy thing, very entrepreneurial stuff, just like stuff that I didn't know I would be interested in, but just like be like, sure, like why not just try it out.
I also recommend, like, obviously join things you're interested in, but also branch out. But along with that, don't think you have to join like a bunch of things and be super busy. Like, it's really not about the quantity. It's like, do things you want to do. Like, don't spend time and waste your time doing things you like don't really care about, or if you're just doing it for the resume, like that's not really the right reasons to be doing it. Like that will only get you so far in, I want to say, life, just because like I know I'm definitely someone who will be like, oh, this looks good on a resume, but in reality it's also like it's something I enjoy doing and something I want to be at. Like you shouldn't be like, oh, I have this meeting today, like that I have to go sit at. Like if you don't want to be in it, don't be in it. Like you don't have to be there, and clubs will don't mind you trying it out, and then if it's not your thing, it's not your thing, and then you get to go spend time finding what you're more passionate about, or maybe like a new interest. So I highly recommend like trying new things, but don't think just because you like showed up to one meeting or showed up to like the interest meeting that you have to join, because don't waste your time where like you don't need to be there and you're not interested in.
Yeah, I agree that it's a good idea to join things that you already kind of had experience with. Like in high school, I did journalism all 4 years, like the newspaper, and I became involved with the newspaper here at UR. But also, you have to realize that some clubs, like the newspaper, like it's not only about writing. Like if you're interested in any kind of photography, graphic design, or any like multimedia podcast or creating videos, or we even have like marketing and business people. So it's really just encompassing everything. You also don't really need to know how to write in order to join, and you don't need to be a journalism major either. Brianna's also in it. She's not a journalism major. And you really get to know a lot of people on campus because you obviously have to talk to a lot of people. So you get to know a lot of people, you know, their majors, you get to know a lot of faculty, you get to know a lot of institutions. And last year I went to Hyde with Lisa Miles and Oma, and it was a leadership retreat with other organizations. So you really get to know people from, like, we had people from multicultural orgs and Greek life, Spider Nights and everything.
I think something also that's important is if you're gonna join like a good amount of clubs, make sure that they fit in your schedule so that you're not overwhelmed. Because I know that a lot of people, especially freshman year, they join a lot of clubs and then they want to go to all the meetings, but then they have other things to do like with school or work, and then they end up feeling overwhelmed. So just make sure that you can manage it. Like don't, kind of going along with what Ali said, like don't do too much. Do what you can do, and then don't feel bad if you can't do everything. I think that's a really important thing.
What else is on your mind?
Do you have some advice for like the first few weeks? What would you suggest for like freshmen at like first few weeks? What would have wanted to have gotten as an advice? Yeah.
I'll be brutally honest. So in high school, it's not that I wasn't, I was more of like an extracurricular guy than I was like more about the academics. So I kind of was like, I kind of goofed off in high school just a tad. And that's something that I wish I realized that in college, you just can't really goof off like that. And I don't mean that to be like scary, but definitely if I had to give myself advice, I would be definitely just trying to take college as seriously as I can. And, you know, just it's all time management, just managing time.
Something I thank myself for is just because I'm an outgoing person that I just kind of talk to a lot of people, like upperclassmen. Like I ended up becoming friends with them and getting like learning so much about like what opportunities are on campus or like what internships there are, like things that I'm like we're both the same major, like in the same club, stuff like that. So like there were times I'd be behind someone in D Hall and I'd just start talking to them. Like there's time I'd just be walking next to someone in THC, or I'd always see someone and I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Allie. Like, who are you?" type of thing. So that's something I'm really thankful for, because I was able to not only meet so many amazing people, but make like friends that I ended up like just loving. Like so many seniors who graduated are like, we would have never been friends at all if like you didn't say hi to me, or like if at this meeting we didn't start talking. So just like little moments that you can like just say hi, or like even just like talk to someone, like definitely take advantage, especially now with COVID. Like it just helps making those small connections, and like you never know, you might find like your long like friend, and then 20 years you'll be like, oh, remember that time in THC we just started talking to each other. So that's something I'm really happy I did. And like I still talk to so many people who have graduated, and now I'm really close friends with a lot of them that like our conversation started by like little highs and just getting to know each other.
Something that I want to share, it may not apply to all of you, but I do think it is relevant to people who come um, from low income backgrounds, and sometimes even international students, um, and those who have scholarships. It's very easy, especially the first couple weeks, even months, for you to feel like you're not, like you don't fit in and you're not welcome. And sometimes it can get too hectic and you want to, I don't know, like spend more time in your room, try to like disassociate yourself with people. And I think something that I wish that I would have known at that time is that to balance between that, still go try to get to know people, don't feel bad on being on scholarship. If you're on a scholarship, like you own that, guys. You are a scholarship kid. Oh, like, oh yeah, yes, I'm a scholarship kid. Like, what about it? So I would encourage you not to feel bad about it. And if you do feel like you need the time to take and be in your room, stay away from people, I would want to encourage you not to feel bad about it. See it as part of the process, to give yourself that time and have that grace on yourself, that you do need that time to stay away from people and to process it. And it's okay if you go end up taking a nap, like that is fine. If you want to go and instead make friends, that's fine too. Just make sure there's a balance of both, but if you do find yourself of just trying to isolate completely from people, I would definitely reach out to like Lisa, to the deans, to um, some friends that you have made at the beginning. But don't ever be ashamed of being a scholarship kid.
Piggybacking off what Lena said, I remember my first week at UR, the Spider first had kind of a session like this, and we had a speaker come in and talk about imposter syndrome and growth mindset. And so, imposter syndrome is basically when you feel as if you don't belong, like what Lena said, where it's like you're in a new environment and you just feel like something's not clicking, like you don't belong. And growth mindset is a mindset where you're always adapting, processing new information, and growing. Like you're never staying stagnant. You're welcoming change. So those things, most definitely, I would emphasize that to you all as first year students, because I feel like my entire first year, I suffered from imposter syndrome, where I was like, oh, I don't know why I'm here. I don't fit in. Like I don't look like most of the people here. I don't have similar experiences to them. Like I just completely felt like out of place. but that's what the growth mindset comes in. And well, the growth mindset comes in, and also starting to believe in yourself more. Like I'm glad I have my mother to help me out with all this along the way, but I started to believe in myself, and I started to tell myself, you are worthy of being here. You have worked as hard as all these other students to be here. You deserve every opportunity you get here. And with the growth mindset aspect, um, acknowledging like how my experiences shaped me and building upon that just to become more of an a more well-rounded individual for the future. So you belong here, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, going off that, I've definitely felt like very out of place at times, and I definitely would what Lena and Cameron said all the way. Just always really be yourself and really try to grow and adapt. Because I mean, for me, like I'll give you like an example. Like over the summer, I was trying to figure out why financial aid was not correct because I'm a low income student. And one of the financial aid ladies that I was on the phone with was basically like, stop complaining that you got X and Y amount of aid and you're asking for more. You're lucky enough as it is because you have one parent making one parent's worth of income. So like you get more aid from us than other kids with two parents. And stuff like that, it really does make me feel alienated on campus in terms of like the culture, because everyone knows how like Richmond is a privileged institution for the most part, and it does make me feel alienated, but I definitely have like my support systems and definitely like have ways of like figuring out and adapting to those situations, which is something I wish I knew sooner.
Also, another piece of advice, I know I learned this in high school, just like as time was going on, that like academics are very important. However, also take in the little moments you have on campus, like with your friends, like, because yes, you'll always have this like paper due or like this test to study for, but you'll also have like these like 10 minutes of goofing off in like a study room with your friends, and then you'll think back on that, and like it's college, you want to make it an experience like that you remember. So take those little moments, just like walking from like Wood Circle to D Hall and just having small conversations, going on walks to the Eco Corridor. Like Sunday morning, I like text in the group chat, I'm going on a walk to Starbucks, and then my whole friend group ended up joining, and just like stuff like that, little things like that, you'll remember. And like, yes, you might have like this huge paper, so it's just all about time management and being able to like have everything done and still take time in that. But if you're stressing, like even take those like small moments and just think of those, because it really like, that's what I look back on from my freshman year, is just like hanging out in like the wood base with all my friends and doing homework. And it was like the worst thing ever, because you had to like write this paper or study for this exam. We were all together struggling, and then we take like this 5-minute break of like just throwing like gummy bears at each other, like things like that are just so random and little, but like they make everything so like it just makes you smile thinking about that and thinking about like how close I became because of these little moments.
Yeah, and embrace the moment you're living in. I know with COVID, that sounds really weird and bad to say, but I'm hoping that once COVID settles down for the rest of your college careers, you embrace just like the time period of your life you're living in. Like embracing all the little moments, the big victories, even like the L's you take, because we all take L's, but just embracing everything that happens.
Some really good advice. I'd like to invite any of you who've heard something from someone that you really like and you think, I wouldn't mind following up with them and grabbing a coffee at 8:15 and send a private message if you want to someone that you'd like to get to know better. I can look around this room and say, like, these are incredibly friendly, welcoming people. And if you wanted to get to know someone a little better and just have a conversation, these are really, really good people to do that with. We may have to let Lena go to Oxford, so you may not be on campus so much for coffee. But I'm sure she would put her email in the chat if anyone wanted to follow up with some, you know, find out a little bit about how England is treating her. I know. Yeah, Lena was a really important student leader for us on campus last year, but also had an amazing 4 years with us. We're all going to miss Lena, but thank you for offering to be here today. I also wanted to let you know that there's a little bit of room in some of our freshman mentoring groups. Allie and Sia are mentors. And if you want to shoot me an email, Lisa Miles, it's lmiles@richmond.edu. You probably got an email from me to invite you to this. Feel free to respond back and say, yeah, I think I'd like to be, just talking to some upperclassmen, regularly once a week, and meeting some other, they're little small mentoring groups. So you'd also meet some other first year, and it's all just for first gens. So please feel free to let me know, because it looks like we have a little bit of room in a couple of our groups to add somebody on in.
Lisa, if I may share something.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm on my phone, so I really can't see the chat room.
Yeah.
But feel free to get my email from Lisa Miles. I give permission. I don't know if I need to do the written thing, but Lisa can give my email to you guys if you ever have any questions. If you have any questions about the Bonner program, internships, grad school, RA life, yeah, any of that.
Did it all.
Happy to reach out. Yeah, international students, so first gen, all that. If I can be of a help, please do let me know.
Thank you, Lena. That's awesome. And we're just going to try to keep getting together in various ways. Eventually, they're going to let us get together in person. I always buy first gen t-shirts for everybody, and I'm kind of waiting to do that until I can actually give them out to you in person rather than send them in campus mail, because it doesn't really feel like the same thing. So I know we're going to get together before too long, and even if it's an evening and outside under a tent, we'll start to do more of that. On September 23rd, if you would like to hold that date, that's a Wednesday night from 7 to 8:30. We were going to do another kind of panel with some staff and faculty, but we just put out a survey. Some of you might have answered it, about what kind of things people want to hear about. And we had a lot of how to get an internship and career services stuff and grad school stuff. And so I think we're going to make this like mini symposium kind of thing, where you can have choose two half-hour sessions with some of those staff who can talk to you about some of those options. So that'll be coming up. We'll let you know exactly what the full schedule will be. But people had a lot of really good things to suggest that we talk about, so we'll do that. Plus, there's also a group of students called Spider First Ambassadors, and Dom is one of those, who help us think about some of the social stuff that we'll do too. Because we really like to just be pulling people together to get to know each other, to have some fun, and kind of build the community, which has been really important to us over the years. I'm going to really miss our study breaks till we can do that again. Feeding you is key. We're just going to hang in there till we can do all the really fun stuff, because it's coming. And in the meanwhile, you can see the wisdom of this group. So I hope you have sent a couple of chat messages, and we'll continue the conversation with each other as first years or with some of the upperclassmen. Any other last thoughts from our panelists or our new students about questions or thoughts before we go?
I just wanted to say, I know I threw my phone number in, so if you have any questions and you want to reach out to me, and I'm sure all the other panelists and upperclassmen feel the same way, to send an email or just reach out. We're here to help you guys. We're all in this together. So don't be afraid to reach out. Just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, was at this panel and just wanted to get coffee or something like that.
Yeah, and they mean it. They're doing this on their spare time. They really mean it. Well, I am, thanks, Cody. Thanks for all this great stuff. Thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. Really, really appreciate all the panelists. Really nice to see some of our new students. We look forward to seeing you around campus soon. You know, maybe you've stared at each other enough, so even with a mask, you'll recognize each other. Let's hope. But you're welcome, Con. Thank you so much for coming. Super nice to see you all. Have a great week. Check in with any of us if you need anything. Lena, safe travels. Once a spider, always a spider. Take good care.
Thank
Bye,
you so
everybody.
much.
Have a good night.